to another chapter called the Vagabond Cafe, Maqha Sa'aliq, which was Maqha al-Mukhtar in Bab al-Khalil. And that's a very important literary cafe because it had a very important a circle of writers, included Is'af al-Nashishibi, Adib al-Arabiya, Adil Jabr, who was accused of being an Ottoman spy because he was very close to Jamal Pasha at the time. But people who still experimented not only with language but with social education reform. And they all were strong believers in Ottomanism. And this is a single theme that runs throughout this book. They eagerly believe that we in Palestine and in Syria, because we were Syrians and Palestinians and Arabs, could make this great empire work and maintain it as a highly decentralized but a nation that's run by law, but in which Albanians, Turks, Arabs, Jews, Armenians can live together under the rule of law. The 1908 atmosphere was thriving in the air, pushing towards this idea. You can feel it in the correspondence and the lectures and the talks that existed in Maqha Sa'aliq. And one interesting episode that I relate here is two of the members of Hizb al-Sa'aliq, the Vagabond Party, which was a fake party, it was a Mickey Mouse party, were arrested on the Lebanese border. This is just after the Allenby marched in and the French mandate was gelling in on the Lebanese, for belonging to a subversive party called the Vagabond Party, Hizb al-Sa'aliq. And Khalil had to write an affidavit signed in court that Hizb al-Sa'aliq is a literary group that has nothing to do with resisting the French in Syria. Now, this is the biographic trajectories that define this book, and the framing of it is 3 conceptual essays, and if you get bored with them, I suggest you skip directly to chapter 5, whose purpose is to understand the major social transformations which took place in Palestine during the beginning of the century. It begins with a discussion about a paradigm, which is the title of the book, The Mountain Against the Sea, which is about the cultural dynamics between coastal culture and mountain culture, and which is also not Palestine only, but it's a Levantine phenomena. You see it in Greece, you see it in Anatolia, you see it in Lebanon. Horani wrote about it, and more recently, forgot his name, the Lebanese historian, Fawaz Sarabulsi, addressed it. It has to do with the not only cosmopolitanism, but the manner in which the coast of Syria and Palestine became integrated in a Levantine world through commerce, capitalization of agriculture, but also a lot of Greek, Armenian, Italian minorities moving in, and a libertine culture emerging, which became not at odds, but at strain with a conservative hinterland. And I trace this through the process by which the War of 48 pushed this coastal culture into diaspora while consolidating the hegemony of a conservative Central Highlands based on peasant households as the residual symbol of Palestine. It's an argument that it's not easy to argue because it has so many exceptions, but I try to provoke in it in order to establish the cultural identity of Palestine as this composed of this duality. And then the second essay is about small towns and social control. I call it From Emma Bovary to Hassan al-Banna. And in it I try to examine the loss of metropolitan urbanity in Palestine and the assertion of small-town culture. I mean, Nablus who here may object to Nablus being a small town, but we're talking about a larger context in which the hegemony of Nablus, Khalil, and the center, Ramallah al-Biri, and to some extent Gaza, which became a city of refugees, established parameters of social control which countervailed and reversed many trends which existed in Palestine during the 20s, 30s, and 40s. And the third chapter is called Bourgeois Nostalgia and the Abandoned City, deals with the impact of the destruction of the major metropolitan urban centers and the manner in which the Palestinian diaspora related to this loss of heritage. You know, the joke is that every Palestinian claims they are from Jaffa. And it's true at part of the time, but there is a nostalgic attempt to reroot yourself in that lost metropolitan culture. And much of Palestinian literature, and not only literature, but the sensibilities of the post-48 period have to do with the notion of the abandoned city and the yearning for abandoned city, paradise lost, which creates a very bizarre kind of politics in it, because it's a politics of nostalgia, of idealistic assertion, and a rejection of the messiness of the present, which people try to capture through literature or through political manifestos. So, in conclusion, the book is an attempt to discuss the zigzag of these cultural transformations in Palestine to create a collective biography of the city through the lives of several people who were at variance with each other. Some of them belong to the same political parties, some belong to no political parties, but they all were part of this great adventure of transition from the Ottoman to the Mandate period, and all were fighting for a kind of modernity of Palestine, which succeeded to a great effect in some respects, but also failed in others. Thank you.
On behalf of the Board of